Right, so it's 10:15 and I just left work and thought why not do a small vlog from within the city, and that's what this is all about. So I have started going into the office 2 days a week, generally Tuesdays and Thursdays. And as you can see, back on the trusty old CB350, I thought why not take this opportunity to show you a bit of the night sights of Bangalore, specifically the outer ring road, the dreaded or cherished outer ring road, depending on how you look at it. So here goes. I don't have any specific format in mind, just a free form vlog, and hopefully I think of something entertaining along the way, in addition to talking about anything interesting that most likely will not occur in front of me, but here is to hoping. Right, so by now there are 3 vlogs on my channel for covering the recent trip to Sakleshpur / Rottikallu resort, which 5 of our friends rode to recently. I thought they are quite nice vlogs, although a bit long form, because I didn't want to necessarily trim it and take out some of the spontaneity or some of the sights, because it's ideally something for us to act as a memory trigger whenever we look at those videos. So some of you might find it a bit stretched out. You are of course most welcome to skip and skim the videos, watch it very quickly, or of course you can watch it full length, long form, no cuts, no breaks. It's entirely up to you. So okay, I am planning to take the old HAL airport road back to where I live, rather than the Silk Board route. And yeah, things get a bit crazy around these times, so got to use all modes of signaling possible. Blinkers, hand signals, audible buzzer alarms, everything works, and nothing is enough for the distracted riders of today's world. Anyway, let's get back to the main point. So yeah, as I was telling you, the trip went amazingly well. We formed very good memories, had some very nice conversations with the guys, and we cannot wait for the next one, to be honest. The next one, God willing, we are planning it in August, probably to Valparai this time. So Valparai is a sort of a hill station / plantations in Tamil Nadu specifically. I have been there tons of times during my audit days, and when I used to go to audit Hindustan Lever specifically, they had rather a lot of plantations there, where they used to grow tea crops, then crush them into powder and sell tea and so on. So I have very fond recollections of going to Valparai, and of course since then till today I'm sure a lot of things have changed, some for the worse, but probably a lot for the better, I hope. So that's where we are planning a trip in August. So we've given all of our riders sufficient advance notice, so that they get a chance to get things sorted with the office, with the family, and basically work their commitments around these dates, so that we are able to make it a success. Okay, but the topic which I want to address today are a couple of topics. I'm not sure if I'll address them both in this video alone. If I'm not able to, I'll probably talk about the next one in the next vlog. Right. So this topic actually concerns an incident which actually happened when we were coming back from Rottikalu on this Monday, which is the 30th of May. So we rode from the Rottikalu resort all the way past Sakleshpur, and just when we were about to join the Hassan highway to take the roads back to Bangalore, we stopped in a place called Osur, which is a small which is a mid-sized sort of a decent restaurant on the way, where we just stopped to have a cup of coffee. And once we finished that and we got back on the bikes, to Shashi's dismay, actually he realized that his bike wouldn't start. His Honda CB350 would not start. And on the intercom I kept asking him, Shashi, are you there? And I looked back through my mirrors, and I could sense him in a bit of annoyance that it's not starting. And fair enough, the rest of the three of us came back, and then we again parked our bikes and we went to take a look. Of course, the bike just would not start. Even the display, nothing, no display, nothing was switching on, right? And before this, when we tried to sort of reverse engineer what had happened, Shashi told us that when he switched on the ignition like so, and when he engaged this switch here, when he brought it to the middle point, and when he tried to turn on the ignition button, he just heard a snapping sound somewhere under the seat, and then everything went black. Everything went dead. So that was what we had to work with. And based on the symptoms which Shashi described to me at the time, I thought sounded like a classic case of one of the main ignition fuses probably going kaput. The ignition fuse, I think it's 10A in the fuse box just under the seat. So naturally we went there, we took the 10A fuse out, we inspected it in the palm of our hands. The fuse looked pristine, the fuse looked absolutely perfect, no blackening, no telltale signs of the fuse having blown. But regardless, we took the spare 10A fuse, which is again given in the fuse box by the manufacturer Honda. So we again took the spare fuse out, we took the original fuse out of its place and put the spare fuse in and tried cranking the engine again. It didn't work. Same behavior. But in the meanwhile, what happened is, when we left the ignition switched on, so initially there was nothing, right? No display in any of the digital cluster, nothing whatsoever. But after 5 minutes or so, the display came on and all of the electricals came on. But when we tried to crank the engine again, thinking everything is all right, again everything went absolutely dead. And this happened for about 5-6 times. So switch it on, bring it back on, everything looks like it's back to normal, and then we try to crank the engine. That action pretty much kills everything, and back to square one. At this point of time, we were not taking any chances. We called the Honda big wing top line set of guys who we all happen to know very well, and they tried to troubleshoot a little bit over the phone. And a few of the things which they recommended was, see if the relays for the battery are properly in place, and so on and so forth. We tried quite a few diagnostics and quick fixes. None of them but all to no avail basically. And in between, one of the mechanics from Honda Big Wing said this looks like a battery problem, which really did not make any sense, because Shashi's bike is not all that old. I think it's about a year old at this point, and he regularly operates his motorcycle to make sure that the battery is always in good health. So that line of thinking wasn't really making any sense. And at this point of time, already maybe a couple of hours or 2.5, 3 hours had elapsed, and we were all sitting in the hot sun, literally outside the noon sun actually, just outside this restaurant called Asur, and sweat was trickling down our foreheads, and it was all getting a bit unbearable. So we decided to hang up our boots, we decided to admit defeat, we had decided to concede that we were thoroughly and completely beaten by this situation in front of us. And the next thing that we actually decided to go for was call for RSA, roadside assistance. So Shashi had taken a paid roadside assistance package from Honda Big Wing top line at the time of purchasing the bike, in addition to purchasing a separate extended warranty, and on top of that he recently has got the AMC package as well, all of them at additional cost. So exactly to protect him in a situation like this, but little did we know that it would all go sour very soon that day. And okay, let's again continue the narrative. So we called RSA. Sure enough, one of the RSA operator guys at the call center, he picks up the phone, we explain everything, and he asks us where we are. We tell him all that he needs to know, and then he cuts a ticket. All is good so far. And then the guy says he needs to call us back and tell us what's going to happen next. Sure enough, we say yes. He hangs up. I think a few minutes later he calls us back and he says, based on where you are, the RSA's terms basically say that they can drop us in a truck, they can load the bike on a truck and drop us at the nearest service location, which in this case, given where we were at the point, happened to be either the Mysore Big Wing service location or Mangalore service location. And we really did not want that, because if that did end up happening, it would mean that first of all the bike would go to a place which is not very familiar to us, or rather Shashi, and then after the bike got fixed subsequently, it would mean that he would have to make a trip to either Mangalore or Mysore just to collect the bike back and bring it back to Bangalore. All of them were major logistical hurdles. Obviously nobody wants to go through any of that. And here is where the RSA part gets a bit wonky, and this is probably a lesson for anybody who's listening to me on this vlog so far. So as per the RSA's terms, sure, it makes perfect sense that at times of distress, like the situation we were in at the moment, their first port of call is to find you, locate you, put your bike on the back of a truck, and basically get you out of distress and get you to the nearest serviceable location, which is fine. But literally the distance between getting the bike to, say, the Mangalore or the Mysore location versus getting it to Bangalore, which was our preferred service location, was 30 kilometers. But the RSA guys would have none of it, and they kept saying, no, this is the rule, this is the contract. And we even said that we are willing to compensate or pay the market price for whatever it costs the truck operator the extra money to get us to Bangalore. But they were were adamant and kept on insisting that it cannot be done, which was ridiculous. No customer obsession, no doing the right thing for the customer, none of that. And we also called the chief of the top line, and he also said he would look into it, but nothing really happened. And in between, we realized something, that if something has to happen, we've got to look after ourselves, because people were otherwise happy in their own worlds, not really doing anything effective to get us out of this situation. So then we had a brainwave. We decided to, we looked on our Google Maps, and we were able to see that there was actually a Honda dealership nearby in Sakleshpur called Manjunath Motors. And there were also a couple of battery shops as well. And since it was still daytime and fast nearing evening, we didn't really want to take a chance of trying various things on our own. We wanted to entrust the matter in the hands of the experts. And Sunil, one of the riders in our group, he actually went to the Honda location, and he actually managed to bring one of the Honda technicians with him. And that chap, he actually bought a brand new battery as well with him, just in case, to see if the battery was actually the problem. And when he put the battery in and cranked the engine, the bike started. So that was good news, and it definitely helped us sort of isolate the problem down to the fact that it's something to do with the battery. But what still didn't make sense is the original Honda Tata Yuasa battery giving up so soon on literally a less than a year-old motorcycle. But anyway, that was a battle to be fought another day. We had warranties and everything, but still. So the immediate next thing that we decided to do was, we said we will go back to Sakleshpur, go into one of the battery shops, and as long as he has some battery which is compatible in terms of size and dimensions of the CB350, we decided we'll buy it, we'll put it in the bike and ride back to Bangalore. So that's precisely what happened. Shashi managed to get a battery which could accommodate the dimensions of the Honda CB350 in terms of electrical outputs and the box dimensions and all of that. And we rode all the way back to Bangalore, and in between the RSA guy calls again and says that with a great deal of difficulty, the truck has actually agreed to take you back to Bangalore if you're willing to pay the difference. But of course, by this time we were sort of sorted, and we said thanks but no thanks. Bad customer service. You should have done all this when we were desperately in hot water, and now when we are almost headed back to Bangalore on our way, you call us and give us this so-called good news or whatever. And the rest of the ride back to Bangalore was pretty action-packed, but that's a different story. It rained cats and dogs in Hassan. We all stopped and put on our rain gear, and we got into a bit of night riding as well, which was all quite nice. Unexpected adventure, all quite nice. And we reached our homes safe and sound by about 10:30 in the night. And the next day, which was yesterday or probably the day before, Shashi actually sent his bike back to the service location for an investigation or a diagnosis. And yesterday when they checked the bike, the first message that we got is there is an electrical leakage or electrical bleed which is happening from the bike, which in simple terms means even when the bike is probably switched on, completely switched on and dead, there is something that's sipping battery, which really was quite a concern. Our first impulses were to immediately think that could it be something to do with the Mad Dog lights, auxiliary lights, which Shashi had put. But later in the day, the full report came, and it turned out that the rear light, the brake light or whatever, that assembly was actually loose, and it continuously kept flickering, and that was what was sipping the battery apparently. That was the official report from Honda. and it somewhere added up, because whenever we were behind Shashi and he kept riding, we could always see his brake lights flickering all the time, and we kept telling him that your brake light keeps on flickering, and we had noticed this, but somehow the dots connected when we got this report back from Honda. So basically where the matter stands now is, I think the problem is diagnosed and understood, and Shashi is still trying to figure out what he'll do with whatever he paid for a new battery, whether Honda will somehow cover it under warranty. It was anyway 1600 rupees or something, that's what a new battery costed. So it's not a tremendous sum of money in the grand scheme of things, but if we can get that 1600 rupees back, why not? So that's where the situation stands. So this was a little bit of saga that we went through, and the reason for mentioning all this is basically to see if such a situation or use case happens with anybody, what's the sort of troubleshooting protocol to few of the troubleshooting protocols to consider. So that was our story. I actually wanted to cover this episode with Shashi also with me in the video, because ultimately the bike was his, and he was the one who, although we were all with him, actually we didn't really leave him to his fate and carry on riding back to Bangalore, because that's not what happens in a motorcycle brotherhood. So the motorcycle code is leave no brother behind, basically. So one for all and all for one sort of a thing. And yeah, so Shashi was also quite thankful that we all managed to stay with him. All of us were expecting to be back home by 4 p.m. in the late afternoon or early evening, but ultimately when we set foot inside the house, it was 10:30 in the night. So all of our plans, whatever we had for the rest of the day, were pretty much came to naught. And yeah, I suppose the other big lesson is, no matter how much you plan, something totally unexpected can throw you off balance. But I suppose the lesson or learning here is not to lose calm and not to lose patience, and basically take things as they come, and deal with them with grace, presence of mind, and yeah, with courage and resourcefulness, basically. So that was the story of what happened back on the ride. Of course, none of this would have been decent to sort of record on GoPro or my mobile phone, just for the sake of making views or getting eyeballs, or all these sort of crappy things which most motovloggers probably think of at that point of time, sensing an opportunity in somebody's misery, which I hate. The worst kind of scum do these things just for eyeballs and just for content within air quotes. I don't believe in any of that. Don't believe in making a mountain out of a molehill for nothing. So yeah, wouldn't have been the decent thing to do. So it's only a post incident analysis, which I thought I'll probably cover somehow, and I thought this vlog on my way back home from work would probably be a good stage to talk about it, and hopefully I have conveyed the sequence of events and the approach that we took in a lucid and simple and straightforward enough manner. If you have any further questions or anything about this incident, and anything that doesn't quite connect dots as you listen, feel free to leave me an ask in the comments, and I'll try and find an answer or a response for you. Right, so I'm about more than half distance covered on my way back home. Moment of truth, do I cover my other topic, or shall I leave it for another day? What do we do? What do we do? That is the question. I think the vlog's gotten pretty long at this point of time, so before I lose your interest, let me call it a day for this vlog, and I'll probably cover that topic in another vlog, but I'll leave you I'll leave you enticed and dangling with a small whiff of what that topic is all about. So that topic is about me buying my Expulse and some of the issues that I've had as a part of the purchase process and even after buying. So that will again be a lessons learned, and it'll be more of an informative video. I don't really want to diss anybody in the process. It's mostly a facts and data video, which I'll try and keep as unemotional and non-controversial as possible. And yeah, that should be an interesting video again, so keep an eye out for that video. And till I see you again soon, take care and stay smiling. Good night. Bye.